This is a video that I'm adding to my series of reviews on the Giant Anthem 27.5. This one will be some comments after a race that I did today, and so I wanted to give you guys some lowdown on how this bike handles in a race. The race that I did today is more of an endurance race. It was a 50 miler, and this is a type of course and race that would favor a 29er because of the amount of dirt roads involved, probably 4 to 6 miles or more of dirt road. In fact, most of the bikes on the start line were 29ers, a good number of them hardtails. However, on this course there was also a lot of tight single track, and this bike did really well on those. No real sustained climbs, just some real short, steep climbs. And I was really impressed with how this bike did. Typically for endurance races, you're not doing the real quick acceleration or hard braking. You want to maintain more of a steady momentum, but there were a lot of cross-country racers on this race course today, and so it ended up being a race where, you know, there still was a typical type of cross-country riding, again, where you're coming hard into corners and accelerating quickly out of the corners, which is where I think the 27.5s are really starting to shine for me, is that aggressive cross-country style riding. So this bike handled very, very well. On this course there was the dirt roads had some sand, some loose gravel, and there was some sand on the course as well. I was really impressed with how the 27.5 wheels handled the sand. Typically a 29er wheel would be the most stable in the sand, but I did not feel like the 27.5s were really much less stable than a 29er. I paid attention to the 29ers in front of me when I was behind them, and I didn't feel like on the straight open sections that this bike was really a disadvantage, having a little bit smaller wheels than 29ers. I felt like I was able to hang on pretty well, and in fact passed a lot of folks. I ended up getting 6th place today, but I did go off course on one section. Cost me a little over a minute in time, missed the podium by about 3 minutes, and so whether or not that missed turn caused me to miss the podium, I don't know. It's hard to say, but it's been a long time since I've missed a turn in a race, so that was kind of a bummer. This bar is a 720. I really like the width of the bar on this bike. I think it really helps you, you know, the 27.5s are really agile and you get a lot of control with a wider bar. However, on this course there were a few sections that had really tight trees. In fact, I bumped my handlebars on a few trees. One guy I was racing with actually hit his arm, and he thinks he broke it. It was all swollen. The guy finished the race, which is pretty impressive. But that's how tight the trails are that we ride here in Florida. And again, some of them are just really wide open and flowing and fast, but some of them are really tight. And the 27.5s just kill it on those tight trails. I probably used the firmest setting on the shock the most today than I have since I got the bike on these fire road type things where you're hammering for 10 to 15 minutes on a dirt road. The thing I like about this shock is that it's not fully locked out. And Giant, I think they did this on purpose because it's a really good move, in that the Anthem shock does not lock out when it's over to the full setting. The Trance shock actually does. The Trance has more travel to control. So again, whether or not Giant did that on purpose or not, I think it really works out well. And if you forget to switch this back to the Pro Pedal setting when you get back on the single track, it's not a big deal because the shock still moves and you can get out of the saddle and really just hammer it, and the suspension does not move very much at all. There's no noticeable movement in the suspension, especially when it's on this I don't want to call it lockout because it's not fully locked out, but the firmest setting, which again is all the way over to the right. The race was a little over 3.5 hours, maybe 3:45, and my hands started to get tired. With my 29er, I definitely set up higher. This bike has a lower bar position compared to my 29er, so there's more weight than I'm used to on my wrists, and my arms kind of got tired after a while. But you know, that's one thing I really like about the 27.5 is I can put my position lower, especially for the shorter races when you're really slamming corners hard. If I do another endurance race, which I don't do very many, it's not really my specialty, but I would probably put another spacer below. And I left a couple spacers up top so that I could have the option of raising the handlebars if I wanted to. So I would probably on this bike raise up my position a little bit. Now, as far as the bar height, it's probably about an inch below my saddle, which on my 29er I was about level, maybe even a little bit higher than my saddle. So again, that's one thing that I really like about the 27.5s is that you can put your bars lower and not sit up so high. Someone posted a comment on my channel asking how this bike climbs, which I really haven't mentioned that yet because I have not taken this bike up into the mountains to ride on sustained climbs. But on the short stuff, it climbs very well. You know, a lot of the stuff that we have here in Florida, you're coming down and then going back up. The 29er is going to do a little bit better with that because of the momentum that you're maintaining on the up. However, if you need to accelerate quickly on a climb, especially if you're on a switchback in the mountains and you really just you need to come around a corner and then accelerate, the 27.5s are really going to do a great job at that. Again, these, like I mentioned in one of my other videos, these are the Stans ETR Podium wheels, and this is the first time that I've used these wheels, and I'm really enjoying these wheels. I mean, they're super light. These tires, these Rocket Rons, are really light, and you know, it's just a really, I just can't say enough about how great this bike accelerates in comparison to a 29er. You can just really get on it. The Maestro suspension stays firm. The smaller wheels accelerate quick, and so as far as a climber, I would rate this bike really good. If you're comparing how this climbs to a 29er, I've noticed that over really rough technical stuff that's hard to clear, where if you don't have momentum, you're not going to clear it, I think a 29er is going to be better. But for just those type of climbs where you're setting a rhythm, and especially if you have to accelerate, if you have to, you know, slow down to go around a corner or around an obstacle like a root or a rock, I think the 27.5s are going to shine on those type of climbs. So I would rate this bike a good climber. So other than the handlebars not going in the direction that they needed to go to keep me from missing a turn, this bike really performed flawlessly in the race. Mechanically, no issues at all. The shifting was flawless. Again, I built this from the ground up, so these are all my custom components, but you know, obviously they have to work well with the bike, and this setup is really nice. And for the record, I'm running a 36 in the back, and I was not under-geared or over-geared at all for the race today. I've got a, I think it's about 11 small and up to a 36 big in the back. And I was holding maybe 25 to 27 on the dirt roads, and I did not feel under-geared at all. And the front chainring, I'm running a 34. So that's going to wrap up this video and my series of reviews on this bike. I do want to post one after a cross-country race, but our cross-country season doesn't start for another 5 or 6 months, so it'll be a while. Our season is in the fall. It goes from September all the way through December, just because it's so hot here in Florida. So I'll post up another ride review in a few months, putting in some more time on this bike, especially after I get the 142 through axle. I'll let you guys know if I notice any kind of a difference running that. So thanks for watching.